Brendan, you've had some time to reflect on the first opening weekend. Any different thoughts or anything else that you've maybe learned from your team from the opening one?
Yeah, I think analysing the game back, I think it was the performance was good. I thought lots of real attacking intent in the game. Mixed their game up really well between those moments of playing through pressure when it came and being patient when we had to be against Malky's team that played well and made it difficult for us on the day. So I think in terms of the attacking intent in the game was really good, middle to front, and some of the build-up play. I think structurally, defensively, we'll get better, and that's just time. So, but overall, we scored 4 goals. We created chances in the game, numbers of chances, and like I say, the 2 goals that we conceded will, as time goes on, I wouldn't expect us to lose those.
We obviously spoke about Carl Starfield afterwards. Has that progressed as you were expecting it to?
Yeah, it's progressing. So, but there's nothing definitive to add on that.
And in terms of ingoings from that, Gustav Lagerbielke was a man that's been linked and has maybe given a few quotes over in Sweden about how honoured he would be if it was to move to Celtic. Can you tell us anything else about that one?
No.
That's certainly an area you're looking to strengthen, though.
Well, clearly, if we lose a centre half, I'll want to bring in another one. But I've got nothing to add. There's probably a few other names that'll be mixed in that there, and if I speak about everyone, then we might be here for a little while.
Is that in the pot at the moment, though, Brendan, that transfer? Is it ongoing?
Yeah, there's just a number of ones that we're looking at, but like I say, nothing definitive.
Is it just the central defence area you're looking to strengthen at the moment, Brendan, with Carl leaving, or are there other specific areas of the pitch you are looking to strengthen?
Yeah, there's other areas I would like to improve on so that we're set, and I'm really pleased with the players that's here. You know, the guys that I inherited been very, very good. Been really pleased with the attitude and energy of them, because it's always difficult. You know, it's a new cycle of work. It's not a continuation. It's a new cycle, a new manager. You know, tweaks in the philosophy of how they work and how they play. A lot of the principles are the same, but they still change. But the players have reacted very, very well, and I've been really pleased with that. But naturally, I would want to strengthen before the window shuts in order to play the number of games that we have to play with the strongest squad that we possibly can.
You're talking about strengthening, obviously, someone you know well from your time before, Kieran Tierney. He's been linked a lot this summer. Arsenal reportedly would let him go this summer if an offer came in. If that was the case, that he would like to come back to the club, would you look at that? Is that something you'd be interested in, or do you feel that resources would be better spent elsewhere on the pitch, considering you do have 2 first-team left-backs?
Yeah, I don't speak on what-ifs. You know, there's speculation around many players coming into here. Naturally, there's an association, a link with Kieran because of his past here and our past together, but there's nothing to add to that. I want to add to the squad, and if we can strengthen that over the course of the next coming weeks, then I'll be happy with that.
Would you expect some players to leave?
Yeah, I would think so. I think in terms of players, we'll probably move on that'll want more game time. Like I said, I've spoken to a lot of the players in terms of where they're at and where they stand. So I think everyone that we'll have here by the end of the window will want to be here. But like I said, there could be some movement. Players that maybe, you know, that was maybe felt that they were going to move on. You know, that players like David Turnbull has done excellent over the course of pre-season. He's come in, he made a really good impact. I like him as a player. So sometimes players get that motivation to stay and want to fight and want to work and show their quality. So, but overall, I do expect some to leave, and because they'll want more game time.
Any bits for any of your players at the moment?
No.
How close are you, would you say? Obviously, European football's kicked in for a lot of Scottish clubs already. You have that nice period of time before the group stages arrive. How close would you say you are to having a squad with depth ready to compete in the Champions League group stages?
Well, it's always going to be a challenge. You know, by the time we get to mid-September, by the time the Champions League comes, this group will be even better, both in terms of hopefully depth, but in terms of, you know, the affinity to how we want to play and how we want to work, and the sort of adaptation to the changes. So that's over a month or so away. So, you know, I like to develop teams and improve players, and you know, with 5 odd weeks or so to go before that game, I would think we'd be in a better place. So, but whatever squad we have here, it's always going to be a huge challenge. You know, I'm also a realist. I like supporters to dream. I like to dream of doing great things with Celtic, but I'm also realist. And but I know that when we arrive into it, we'll be given our very best shot at the competition and see where it takes us.
Is the competition just getting harder and harder as the year goes on?
Yeah, no, there's absolutely no doubt about that. You know, when you look at the finances involved and the players at that level, and then it's a huge challenge, absolutely huge challenge. I think a club like ourselves, it's always going to be that, you know, where the game is at and where economically we are at in comparison to a lot of those clubs there. It is a challenge, but it's still it's a competition, and we want to be really competitive in it and be the best that we can be in it, and that's our plan.
Brendan, looking ahead to the weekend, obviously you got good memories, big wins up at Pittodrie over the years. What are your fondest memories from up there, and how important is it, especially this early in the season, to go up there and take 3 points back down the road?
Yeah, listen, my experience of being up when I was here in the past was that Derek had his team really, really well organised, and they were very, very competitive, and there were always challenging games. The results we had against them was very, very good. But at that time, they had a really strong group of players, you know, players that went on and left there and gone into the Premier League and have done well, and other players like Johnny Hayes. And Johnny was a brilliant player for me here, and obviously when I left, he was a big part of the squad here, and I've known Johnny since he was 15 years of age. So I know his qualities on and off the field. So I think it's going to be a real challenge for us. The memories up there, yeah, I remember going there. One of the best performances that we had when I was here was one evening. I think from when Aberdeen had played last, that was going to be our 4th game when we were playing them because of the changing games. We went up there one evening and we were absolutely outstanding. We won 3-0, played really calmly in the game. Our level was a really, really high level. So that was a very good performance. I remember Brownie getting kicked up there and having a dance, and that was a funny memory. But overall, I can only remember really competitive games against Aberdeen. The Scottish Cup final, of course, and the League Cup final were games we played in finals. But no, I never anticipate ever an easy game against them. It's always a tough place to go. So we go there expecting to have to fight, to have to play well to get the result.
You keep an eye on Scott Brown in terms of his management career?
Yeah. All my former players, I like to do that, and I got no doubt Scott will be an outstanding manager. He's brilliant character, great captain for me here, and it was nice to see him make that step in. You know, he's come away from Scotland and gone into Fleetwood, and you know, he's made a really good start. So I'd expect him to do well. He was a great leader here as a captain, and I'm sure he'll do really well as a manager.
You dipped his toe into the coaching when he was here, didn't he, the last time? So was it just a natural progression from then to get into management?
Yeah, I think by the time I came in, I'd sort of stopped him from doing it, because I think that maybe at that age, at 32, maybe felt his path was maybe already made in terms of coaching, and I tried to say to him, listen, if you look after your body right and get yourself focused on the game again, then you can play on for a few more years yet, and that's what he did do. So we stopped him travelling to the reserve games and getting back late at night and getting his preparation right. And I have to say, for me, it was sensational, you know, as a captain, as a player, and as a person. So I'm so happy to see him do so well, and I'm pretty sure he's got a long career ahead of him in management.
I don't know if you've addressed this yet, Brendan, but the issue of time getting added on in the games this season, What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it's not ideal, especially if you're a club that's playing a lot of games in the season. You're getting 8, 9, 10 minutes of a game, when I think the whole nature of it should be to minimise the game time of players, especially top players that are playing upwards of maybe sometimes 60, 70 games a season. If you're adding 8 to 10 minutes onto every game they play, and they're playing 3 times a week, that accumulation over the course of a season can equate to more games. So, and when you consider now that the game is multi-ball, the ball should be in play more. Naturally, the game stops when there's a celebration, but that's what it is. So yeah, I'm not really a real advocate of seeing the board go up when there's 9, 10 minutes, 11 minutes played over the game time.
That brings the onus on the sports scientists and whatnot to try and ensure that players are, in that proper mental and physical state, because as you mentioned, the likes of Callum McGregor with Scotland and Europe was upwards of 70 games for the last 3 seasons. That's is that changed ever so slightly in terms of the sports science and the added backgrounds of what you guys are doing behind the scenes too?
Well, I think it's something that may come into it. I think the sports science team here do a brilliant job in terms of recovering players, preparing players physically in order to be ready for not just the game time, but it's the intensity of which we want to play our game. So, but that's a combination of the players and the staff working together. And from what I've seen so far with this group, they're super professionals. The right things. They prepare themselves well. They do their prehab together, so they're ready to go onto the pitch. They're doing their activation work. They're doing their gym-based work, and then they're working very, very hard to a really high level with the coaches on the grass. So it's so the standard of performance from the staff and the players, both on and off the pitch, is a really high level, and I will continue to push that to keep improving the level.
In terms of the weekend, Abada came off injured with about 10 minutes to go on Saturday. How's he doing?
He's okay, son. Yeah, he's fine. He's been back training, just got a little knock. And again, that this is a season for him to be available and be robust and be strong, and he's shown that over the course of pre-season. And he took the little knock, came off, but he's okay.
In terms of David Turnbull as well, obviously you touched on him earlier. He's got a year left in his deal. Is he someone you'd look to tie down to a long-term contract like Kyogo, Maeda and McGregor?
Well, so long as the consistency in performance and the mentality's right, I think that's important. I think that he's waited a bit of time here to get an opportunity. But as I always say, the responsibility is with the player, and if he can continue with the level of mentality and attitude to improve, then he'll be a great asset for us in the club. So yeah, but he's doing very well. But it's consistency now.
The goalkeeping situation, you've had a lot of time over pre-season. Look at like Scott Bain, Benjamin Siegrist, Joe Hart started on Saturday. What are your overall thoughts on the goalkeeping situation right now? Yeah,
just listen. All 3 keepers. Obviously, Bainey was here when I was here, and he was an excellent understudy. He plays how a modern keeper should play in terms of being able to deal with the ball at his feet, and he makes saves. But he's been a great support and very loyal number 2 or number 3 since he's been here. Benji, I obviously haven't seen so much. He's come in, he hasn't played so much. But again, a goalkeeper with a really, really good attitude to his training, to his work, and he's always there and works hard every day. And Joe Hart speaks for himself. Joe's come in, he's had a fantastic career. He's so ambitious to do well. He knows he's getting towards the end of his timeline as a player, but he wants to maximise that. And when I see him work, in order to do that and to play as long as he can, he's working ever so hard to be the best that he can. He's a great guy, and he makes crucial saves for the team. So like I've said before, it's assessing everything, and I always like to give players and individual players and the units within that time. We've got through until I said another 3 weeks, and by the time that time comes, I would then hope that I'll have everyone on board in order to go forward for a really exciting season.
Anyone else out or anyone else close to coming back for the weekend? I know it's still Wednesday, still a couple of days to go, but anyone else?
Yeah, O will probably be out for a few weeks. He obviously he hurt his calf against Atletico Bilbao, but he trained on. No one knew he trained on. He was involved in the game obviously at the weekend, and then he trained on the Sunday, and then afterwards he obviously spoke to the medical team to say that he'd felt his calf and it's ended up he's got a calf problem, which might put him out for 46 weeks. So that's where he's at. Apart from that, the injured guys are doing really well. Ali Johnson's back on the grass, running, working. He's up in his intensity, so that's really, really good. Good news for us. Marco Tilio is again now out on the grass as well, so he's moving well. So that'll be great. We expect him maybe to be middle of September, so another month or so away. But he's out on the grass, which is a big step forward for him. So, but apart from that, we're okay.